For about 20 years, I've been keeping a record of the persecution of Christians in America, or at least of actions that are leading the culture in increased maltreatment. I made a video on it not too long ago, and I will put that in the link below. It's interesting to me that almost all of it has relation to LGBT expression, acceptance, and celebration. Just briefly, in 2002, pastors can be arrested in Canada for speaking against LGBT. In 2011, InterVarsity was excluded from campuses around the United States because they had a policy that leaders had to subscribe to Christian principles, one of which was a biblical stance about LGBT. In 2012, Jack Phillips, a baker in Colorado, was sued and fined for not serving a particular LGBT customer in a particular way. They are still trying to put him out of business as an example to others. In 2012, a print shop in Kentucky was sued by the Gay and Lesbian Services Organization because he wouldn't print t-shirts promoting pride. In 2013, a baker in Oregon was taken to court for not making a cake for a lesbian couple. In 2015, Kim Davis, a county clerk in Kentucky, was widely criticized for not serving LGBT couples. In 2016, the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights labeled Christians as discriminatory, intolerant, and homophobic. In 2017, the SPLC labeled Christian churches and ministries as hate groups. In 2017, a fire chief in Atlanta was fired for expressing his views about marriage in a book he wrote while off duty at home. Not allowed to do that. In 2018, the Canada Supreme Court hears a case that if you're a Christian, you will not be admitted to law school in Canada. In 2018, Christian couples were turned down as adopting parents because of their Christian views on marriage and sexuality. In 2018, a Christian student organization at Harvard was placed on probation because of their stance on LGBT. In 2018, a high school teacher in Indiana was forced to resign because he insisted on calling students by their last names, as had been in his practice for decades, instead of by their transgender chosen names. In 2018, a Christian student senator at UC Berkeley was harassed for abstaining from a pro-LGBT vote. In 2019, Chick-Fil-A was refused a franchise at Rider University because the owners of Chick-Fil-A were Christians. Chick-Fil-A was also banned at San Antonio Airport and at the Buffalo, New York Airport. In 2019, a National Guard group in Pennsylvania banned a Christian scouting group from touring their facility because of their religious affiliation. In 2019, a bill was introduced in California to force pastors to embrace pro-LGBT ideology. In 2019, a Christian speaker was disinvited from speaking at a conference because of his view about LGBT, even though that's not what the conference was about or what he would be talking about. In 2019, Young Life was voted off of Duke University campus by LGBT groups. In 2020, an LGBT couple was sued Fuller Seminary for LGBT discrimination. In 2023, an NHL player was harassed for not wearing pride colors. In 2023, a Christian charity worker faced jail time because he said his faith enabled him to leave his LGBT lifestyle. A Christian phys ed teacher was fired for refusing to deceive parents on their own kids' gender transitions. Josh Alexander was suspended from school for saying that biological males shouldn't be using the girls' bathrooms. A video game, Turfenstein 3D, features a transgender hero who hunts, shoots down, and kills trans critics, including priests, Now, this is only part of what's going on in America. My conclusion is that LGBT affirmation is the paramount symbol of antagonism toward and rejection of Christianity in America today. It has been for at least 20 years and will continue. Years ago, as the LGBT movement attacked Christians in the courts, my father said, "We're not going to win this one. We're not going to win this culture war." And what we have witnessed is the relentless attack that is only escalating. We also know that the Bible's teaching on LGBT is one of the reasons many young people are leaving the church. LGBT indoctrination is winning young minds over the truth of the Bible. On to the next segment of what I have to say. I've been studying Revelation, Ezekiel, and Daniel for decades to have as thorough an understanding as possible about the Bible's teaching about the end times. Even though I perceive that LGBT is third only to communism and Islam as the foremost oppressor of Christians and the church in the world today, I didn't see LGBT as the bad guys in the end times prophecies of the Bible. In other words, if LGBT is what is bringing about the demise of the church, why isn't that showing up in the book of Revelation? I am now going to suggest for you that it's there. Now, as for another piece of this puzzle, a few years ago, and then again recently, just a few weeks ago, I did some research about global trends pertaining to the end times. I'll put a link to that video below also. What we are seeing is the rise of efforts at a one-world government and a new world order based in technology, AI, militarism, politics, big pharma, and ideology. And that in conjunction with the growing weakness of morality and the church to restrain it. Now, 2 days ago, I made a video about LGBT and following the money trail. I'll put a link to that video below also. In that video, I said that recently there has been a huge and sudden eruption of transgenderism and LGBT with a massive and concerted effort to bring all humanity under the rainbow trans progress pride flag. It is being put forth as a banner of enlightenment and power. And this is all triggering new thoughts in me. So let me put all of these thoughts together now for you, what I'm seeing. Big pharma, tech companies, AI, international corporations, banks, financial institutions, the medical field, and political rulers are all using their combined wealth and influence to use transgenderism and LGBT ideology as their road to wealth and power. And in the same way that the USA stands in the way of China's goal of global domination and so must be brought down, Christianity is what stands in the way of using transgenderism and LGBT as the path to glory, wealth, and power. And so Christianity has to be brought down globally. Atheists and the Freedom from Religion Foundation in the U.S. are also working to bring Christianity down. The apostate church is even helping them in this effort. So now let's talk about Revelation. In Revelation 13, the Antichrist emerges from the sea, which represents the hordes of humanity in spiritual hostility to God. Out of this frothing sea, a figurehead emerges, who is also the icon of his cabal and confederation, which has world domination. Now, one of the primary characteristics of this authority is blasphemy, an ideological, technological, and political religion standing in complete defiance of God. They taunt, revile, and oppress Christianity, and Christians. This is LGBTQ. Evil will be made to look good, and goodness made to look evil. Even lies and bad ideas will be manipulated to sound true and virtuous. We see this happening even now with transgenderism, drag shows, and the LGBT lifestyle. You know, it's easy to fool people when they're already fooling themselves. Information and even science will be used against us and used to control us. Look at the dangers of AI that we're hearing about right now. Humankind will have sold itself into stupidity, fear, anger, oppression, violence, and suffering. The whole world will be on a deceptive, evil loop. Without an ability to discern right from wrong, our world will become both wild and alienating, and we are seeing this happening right now. This figurehead, who also represents a system dominating the world, will have a religious affect. It will be put forth as unquestionable and enlightened truth. Anyone against it will be labeled a hater and even a terrorist. People will honor this system with devotion. And one can see how the current force of LGBT momentum fits this bill and can lead the way to a fuller expression and tyranny of this ideology and its leaders. The beast of the earth at the end of Revelation 13 is a false prophet. Religion turned apostate and supporting the work of the first beast. The great religions of the world will cave to LGBT theology, and therefore also subsequently the New World Order and the One World Government. LGBT ideology is working very hard right now to validate their position in the Bible. They distort the Bible to make it so that it's not condemning of homosexuality and transgenderism, but accepting and even affirming. I'll post a link to a video I made about this also below. So you see how this is all fitting together? But now, of course, you want to know what's the mark of the beast. I don't know yet. We'll recognize it when we get there. We're not there yet. Some people thought it was the COVID vaccine, but that doesn't make any sense to me. Some people think it's going to be the digital ID, but that doesn't make sense to me either. Whatever it is, it will be a symbol of one's fealty to the ideology and authority. Listen, I'm well aware that just about everyone has their own distinct interpretation of Revelation 13. The way I see it, LGBT ideology is bringing the diminution of Christianity in the world. It's a bona fide tour de force. If we follow the money and the power, it will, in conjunction with AI, technology, business, politics, and military might, pave the way for what we read in Revelation 13. I'd be glad to discuss this further with anyone.